at my age simply for the tips alone. My friend and I work there together. We're actually the only two who aren't Asian. My friend usually works the counter and takes phone calls. I usually do deliveries, and that's the way I like it. My friend got off the phone during one night shift we had together and told me I'd be doing a delivery. After the food was prepared, I was handed a brown paper bag and I was off on my way. The address I was given led me to some small dirt driveway off the main road, onto an enclosed property. Don't picture it as some luxurious private property though. It was some old, unkempt excuse of a property. And the house seemed to be closed off given that there wasn't a single light on in there and how high the grass was. I called my friend back at the restaurant and he gave the phone to our boss. Unfortunately, our boss is a stinge, so he yelled at me in his thick Asian accent to knock on the door and don't waste the food. I got out from my car and felt grass rubbing against my shins. That's how tall it was. I went up the 3 stairs to the front door and knocked really loud since there didn't seem to be a doorknob. As I expected, after 30 seconds of waiting, there was no answer. So I got back in my car, and first thing I did was start texting my friend back at the restaurant. But when I looked up back to the house, this time one of the upstairs lights inside of the house was turned on. So I went back to the door and knocked once again. Only on the first knock, the door pushed open slightly. Someone had opened the door, but there was nobody standing next to the door. I pushed the door open a little more and called out hello. My voice echoed through the empty house. I was waiting to hear footsteps come to the door. They never did. Obviously, someone had to have opened the door, so if they weren't going to come to the door, I had to assume they wanted me to come in. I stepped into the house as my shoes made the wood floor creak. I called out one more time, and this time someone replied back. I heard the words "aquí arriba." Now, I'm not fluent in Spanish by any means, but I knew that "aquí" meant here, and I knew "arriba" meant above, so I put 2 and 2 together and figured they said up here. There was a stairway in the middle of the hallway, so I walked over to it and stopped at the bottom step. I looked up the stairs, and all I saw at the top was an arm reached out over the ledge, doing a little stiff "come here" motion. I used what little Spanish skills I'd gained from middle school and said something like "Tango tu comida" as I walked up the stairs. As I got about halfway up the stairs, the arm wasn't there anymore. I got to the top looking for whoever was just standing by the ledge over the stairs. Then I noticed through the tiniest amount of light that the person was now inside a bedroom with the lights off. But I didn't see the actual person. Once again, all I saw was the person's arm, doing that same "come here" motion. It's as if anything above the person's elbow was faded to black in that room. It was such an eerie sight. I knew for certain I wasn't going in that room though. So I said firmly with confidence, "Buddy, I'm not going in there. You come out here with money or I leave." Suddenly, the arm pulled away into the darkness of the room ahead of me, and after a few seconds of standing there in silence, I was hit by a flying object. It happened so fast that it took me a few moments to realize I'd just been hit with a stiff, severed arm. It wasn't some plastic Halloween toy, it was a real arm. I ran down the stairs with the food still in my hand and got back to my car. I didn't even call my friend or my boss. I drove straight to the nearest neighboring house and rang that person's doorbell. When they answered, I told them about what their neighbor had just done to me, and the woman had the most puzzled look on her face. She said nobody's lived in that house for a year. I felt my stomach drop when those words hit me. She said she would call the police after we talked about it for a good 5 minutes. Then I went on my way back to the restaurant with the food. I explained the best I could to my boss, and he let it go. I sometimes wonder how things would have played out if